So a lot of people ask me about longevity in cloud engineering as a career, and I think it's a fair question. But the way I've sort of always seen it, and even with like the rise of AI in all this, my opinion hasn't changed. Um, and this idea came to my mind because I just started reading this book called The Coming Wave. Can you see that? Highly recommended, by the way. I was just wrapping up the notes that I took from it yesterday. By the way, I just wrote this blog post about books that I recommend everyone in tech to read. If you're someone who's like, I just can't read, you're coming up with excuses, right? You should be reading at least a little bit every single day. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is that you can. Spend some time reading. The amount of things you can learn, just do it, okay? Anyway, and if you want some recommendations, I'll have that blog post in the comments or in the description. But anyway, I've said this before, but the cloud is sort of the ultimate abstraction maker, right? Think about it this way. You have infrastructure as a service. So essentially what you have is, bare metal plus security plus networking plus shell or CLI, some way of controlling it. That's essentially infrastructure as a service, right? Because you can go and deploy a VM to the cloud, and that is a cloud infrastructure, right? But you take your IS, infrastructure as a service, plus some kind of sort of complementary skill like data, and then you end up with data as a service, right? Or you can do IS plus programming and you end up with something like function as a service. Or now IS plus AI, and then you end up with AI as a service, right? And you can kind of keep listing those on, and all those abstractions or those as a services that come up, those are all made because infrastructure as a service is just so easily accessible and available to a lot more people, right? But that also becomes the key, which is why I put such an emphasis on the foundational skills of networking, programming, CLI slash shell skills, some DevOps, and some security. Essentially, infrastructure as a service, because that is the staple that creates the abstraction for anything, right? It's pretty easy to get sucked into the news and see that, oh, like this latest model, I should learn how to use this and I should learn how to use that, which is fair, right? Like these things come and go. Like for example, when blockchain was a thing, I know everyone was rushing to learn blockchain and Web3 and NFTs and all that stuff. I don't blame anyone for wanting to learn something new, of course not. But it easily distracts from sort of what's powering everything, which is infrastructure as a service. Now you see new businesses and new technologies come up of how to optimize and make more efficient infrastructure for all the AI stuff, right? I was at a talk in January. It was one of the Microsoft AI tours. Highly recommend if you can catch one of those in a city nearby you to check it out. But they were talking about how the scheduling of the infrastructure that powers a lot of the models that you can deploy on Azure, how that stuff works. And it was so fascinating to me. And ultimately, it comes down to having better, more efficient infrastructure. And again, infrastructure, networking, security, bare metal, of course, right? Programming, CLI slash shell skills, and what was the last one? Networking, secure. Oh, I think that's it. Oh, and some DevOps. More so in like observability and things like that. And those DevOps practices, you might not have things like infrastructure as code, things like that. That's more so for application. I'm talking more so about the practices that are infrastructure related when it comes to DevOps. So those foundational skills are here to stay forever. Like the cloud is going to continue to create abstractions on top of all of those. And it's easier, I think, to find like entry-level jobs in those abstractions, which is awesome. But the more niche, the more lucrative, I think, the more you're going to specialize in one of the foundational ones. And I think that's where the long-term opportunity is. And this is why I know cloud is here to stay for a while. Just a random thought on a Sunday. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments.